all politics, they say, are local. So the stakes were high when the Lagos State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, staged primaries to choose its candidates for the coming local government election in the states. While the exercise witnessed massive turnouts of voters in most local governments and council development areas, violence and diversion of electoral materials marred the exercise in other places. There is anxiety in town as members eagerly await the outcome. The Publicity Secretary, Sheye Ololadejo, sent a press statement yesterday congratulating their party members that they for the conduct of that election. And in that press statement, he actually said 33 local governments and LCDAs actually were certified and cleared to have held that Saturday election, and the rest, the party will come out with a position that, you know, we have 20 local government and then 37 council development areas. Gideon, on Thursday, we said this on Thursday, that look, the model, the way the party was going, if care is not taken, this might degenerate. Yeah. It went well in some areas. The story in some areas was consensus, and they celebrated the way they came out with their consensus. But other areas, election did not take place at all.
Yes, and what I've seen, which I expect the APC leaders to address, because this is shameful, is the fact that people who knew in their hearts that they could not win these primaries contrived violence in different areas just to make sure that primaries did not take place. In fact, some will come to one of the wards. Some will come to a ward where election will take place, and the first thing they will say is, no, we are not going to have an election. Thugs were moving around and ensuring that the process was disrupted in places like Ojodu, Shomolu, Apapa, Surulere, and so many places.
Yeah.
Yes, and we also found a situation in which inadequate ballot materials, where about 4,000 people were waiting to vote. You take 500 ballot materials to the place. I mean, how do you plan for logistics? How do you do that? Who will agree to not vote? How do you ration 500 ballot materials in a place where about 4,000 people have gathered just to vote?
And don't forget, they just finished their membership validation exercise.
So what these guys are doing is ensure that election does not take place, so that, because they bank on powerful people within the party who will simply impose candidates on eligible voters.
On the party, yeah.
This is not democracy. If you said there will be primaries, the
like
people are ready.
I'm going to lose an election, and I know you're going to win, Jide.
I
just devise a means to make sure that
go and disrupt the
yes,
ensure that
election will not take place, so that Jide will not emerge. I will not be put to shame.
There are different places where you look at in Itire, Ikate, they were snatching ballot boxes. They even stole the phone of the electoral officers there. And some that was shooting and diversion of materials in Isolo. Ifakoja, thugs came, disrupted voting. What we need is peace and transparency. We asked for that here before the election.
Yes.
And we said we do not want bloodshed, although bloodshed eventually happened. Even before the election, there was bloodshed over mere pasting of posters. They killed people. So I don't think it makes sense for us to have a situation in which an individual knows that he has powerful people in government who will ensure that since election didn't take place, they will just simply go and write his name. APC in 2019 lost 2019 election, lost some states. because of this kind of thing, where you say an unpopular candidate you impose on the people, and at the end of the day, people defected, they left the party, voted against you. When it was happening in Adamawa, for example, we warned. They said that Bindo will win. Did Bindo win? I've been warning since this January 2016 that Bindo may not be re-elected unless certain things were done. It's unfortunate now.
You're like a prophet that time.
You know, it's unfortunate now.
You say, what's your own with Bindo? Say, like 2 years to the election, you kept saying it, but when it
I went to the place, I saw what was happening there. I traveled there now. And in the end, you know, when it happened in Bauchi too, I even predicted that APC will lose Bauchi a few days before the election, and that's what happened. There are things that should not be happening. It's shameful that many people who have fought for the party, who work for the party, when some people are ashamed to be identified with the party, they have demonstrated loyalty. Now some unpopular fellows, some of them get crashed into the party. They are now the ones who refuse to allow election to take place because they think that they have Babang Bejo somewhere, who will go to the local government, to the party secretariat to simply put their names there as the winner of an election that didn't take place. I mean, it is wrong.
GKB, on Saturday, I came out on Saturday. It was like a normal election day, as if INEC is conducting an election. It wasn't
APC,
like an intra-party
APC
thing.
primary,
it wasn't
Lagos,
like a primary. Do you understand? So the interpretation I give to it is that if you clinch this ticket,
you are home and dry.
You're like 90% home. You just wait for what LASEC is going to do in July, and we know what happens in every other state. So the bottom line that is keenly contested because the stakes and everything high. But they turn up. They just finished their membership validation exercise. So a lot of people actually came out. They wanted to be part of that process.
Yeah. I will take the route that Jide took earlier, because I'm also an interested party. Because there are some local governments that have vested interest. In one of them, like Jide said, somebody who's very loyal to the party, who has been able to step down twice for others. And everybody thought this was his time. They have to bring somebody who was in PDP for almost 15 years, only joining the party as recent as 3 years ago, to give him the tickets. And it's not every toggery that is physical. They now force the guy to sign a release that he has agreed to step down.
Against his wish.
You understand? They don't only that, they even ask the commissioner in the states to countersign to make sure that the guy will not deny later. So there are three different levels of toggery. It's all because they know the guy will win in a landslide, on a landslide contest. To make sure they not contest and to make sure there are no protest votes, they force them to sign, and they force the commissioner representing the local governments in these cabinets to countersign. So there will be three levels, simply because a person handling motor parks in that area decided he wanted to be a godfather. And therefore, whoever's in that local government, we must be the godfather, and whoever doesn't come, he must go. This will destroy the party in the long run.
Ultimately, yeah.
Because what people are doing now in certain areas, and I'm talking about very, very densely populated areas of Lagos, center of Lagos, that what will happen now is that people are just waiting. What will happen, like I told somebody on radio, is this. Just like it happened to Sunday Igboho, it happened to Nnamdi Kanu. Somebody will rise up within the party ranks and aggregate the feelings of these people, and they will become a major factor going down the line. Don't forget the Mushima.
Yeah,
Kakware. I fought the party and won, or the party have to recognize that this is the man that holds this area. This is what we're going to open up. People will move away, either silently or what I call malicious obedience. They will obey the party.
No, they still have the opportunity for the dress.
Right now,
up to Friday.
And they have up to Friday.
Akma is blocked already by
protest, Abi? Yes, I think the Lagos Independent National Electoral Commission, LASEC, said June 4th. Or the 4th of June, that's on Friday.
That's Friday.
Today is 30th. I'll be 31st.
31st.
So there is time to still address.
They used to do it.
The only thing is, I'm not sure.
What they used to do before now, was that there will be a kind of consensus before you get to this field.
Consensus. See, we are Democrats. The best way is still for people to go and test their popularity.
Yeah, that's the popularity.
Consensus is an option. It's an option. But the thing about consensus is that all the contending groups must agree.
You must make sure that you don't have somebody that is saying...
If there are 14 tendencies, and just one opposes the idea of consensus,
the levels of
consensus
would have been defeated.
The best way is still for people to test their popularity. That is democracy. That is democracy. In advanced democracies, how many times do people do consensus? If you are a politician, you think you are popular, and you are just not somebody throwing his weight around negatively. Test your popularity. Let us see how popular you are.
Yeah.
You cannot just go and bring thugs, and then with police also looking away, disrupt voting, and then even after you were handed over, a thug was handed over here in Ojodu, handed over to the police. After a few minutes, they released him.
He was back on the beat.
He was back. So what sort of nonsense is that? Is that how to do elections? And we said, look, do this thing. I was excited that, yes, the way this thing was going, we are going to have elections, real democracy, the popular candidates will emerge.
People came out.
But some incumbent chairmen and some individuals who know in their hearts that they can't even win an election in their ward,
in their home,
inside their home, their wives will vote against them. Such people decided that, they must use people who are big. The people who are big, who are now being used to say, okay, this person is not the candidate. I have to bring, this one must come in. My brother must be local government chairman. This is my opportunity to put this one here.
My son.
History is always harsh on such people, because it will come up one day that you combusted the legitimate aspirations of the people in favor of somebody close to you. The story will be told. I'm looking at them. There are some people that I don't want to mention their names now.
I don't want to.
Yes. Some of them in government. I don't want to mention their names. Well, we can see the roles that they are playing. Something that people are excited about. You have now devised a way to simply
and the leader of the
frustrate the process.
And the party leader warned that nobody should drop his name. And walked away.
Dropped it like mad.
And he traveled while he was away. These things happened. The people that I'm talking about, they know themselves, who have made up their mind to simply bring names of unpopular people, write those names, take to Acme. They know themselves, but they've got to change for the better, because even people that I used to respect, they've lost that respect, because I never imagined that some of them who stoop so low as to say, don't worry, this is my candidate. Well, if you cannot accept to be vice, then go. Let the people contest. That person that you have brought, queue behind them. Let us see whether both of you will not be disgraced. Why are you rigging? Are you rigging election? Queue behind your candidate. If you know you are big in government, queue behind that your candidate. Let us see whether the people will not vote against that candidate.
They just don't want the election to hold. They want popular candidates to emerge. And they forgot that APC won by a very slight margin in 2019.
This time next Monday, we are going to get at least the list of the people
57.
who will be submitting to the state's electoral
Let
commission.
APC set a good example.
And let's see how they are going to resolve this crisis.
This is what we expected.
Let's see how they are going to resolve the crisis.
Yeah? It's unfortunate. Always a pleasure to be here.
It's a new week.
Yeah.
BKO. Thank you for always being here with us. And that's our offering today.